WKNC 88.1. This is The Local Beat, your favorite specialty show, and no one can tell me otherwise, hosted by DJ Beowvlf. Today we are in studio with, and you heard this right, goddamn wolves. They are here to talk a little bit about their music, introduce themselves, promote a show that's coming up, which definitely is one you should not miss. So keep it locked and hang out for this interview. Hello, guys. Thank you for being in today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We are super excited.
As of now, we only have 2 of the 3 wolves. The third will be joining us soon. But for now, do you guys want to introduce yourself, what you do and what you play?
Please.
Yes, my name's Laura McCullough, and I play bass and sing backing vocals.
My name is Drew Folia. I play drums and sing fewer backing vocals.
Fewer backing vocals. So I'm assuming the third gentleman who will be joining us is the full vocalist?
Yeah, lead guitar, lead vocals, well, all guitars, lead vocals, and writes the songs.
Well, shout out to him, who will be with us soon.
He's sort of important. It's just
kind of important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know what they say about like a 3-legged table, you know? We've got 2, but the third will be here soon. He's important to balance things out.
That's right.
For anyone who's been listening for the last couple minutes, the song you just heard was Two Boots off of their most recent EP release. Do you guys want to tell me a little bit about that release?
Sure. So the songs that we've recorded there, we have, we got about 16 that we're working on. And we recorded 3 of those songs on that EP at Deep Sound Studios in Durham with Peter Kimosh. He's in a lot of local bands here, and his work in the jazz scene and music scene has been fantastic.
Right.
He's in The Beast, which you've played on this radio station many times. I've hosted them before. He's also in Peter Lamb and the Wolves. He's a bassist. Fantastic experience. Absolutely loved working with
And how
Pete.
did you get connected with him? Is it just through word of mouth?
I actually have even a family connection, oddly enough.
Very cool.
My nephew and his brother are really good friends. So I hooked up with them many years ago, actually going to see The Beast, and then had that connection through our families. And then as time went on, saw him a few times as Peter Lamb and the Wolves. My other nephew is actually a phenomenal saxophone player, and he's played with Peter Lamb and the Wolves before. And so when we decided we wanted to record, we were like, hey, let's reach out to him.
So while you guys are recording, you said that you have 16 in the works in the moment. Does that mean that we can expect a full-length album to come out sometime?
Absolutely. I don't know how long it'll take us to get there. With the way we did it with Peter, we did 3 songs. We'll probably do another 3 songs. We've got them in the lineup ready to go. So it's probably what we'll end up doing is putting them together that way, and then putting it all together.
Of the 4 that are on the Goddamn Wolves self-titled EP, are any of those going to be rehashed for the full album, or is it going to be like separate completely?
I imagine we'll just put it together. What do you think? Don't know. To be determined.
We recorded at 2 different studios, so I guess it's possible the one that was the odd man out on that, maybe we would redo that just to match the same quality.
Yeah, of course.
Although that 4th song has a neat history to it too. Maybe save that when we get to it.
We're going to be playing through all 4 of them.
All right,
so
great.
you'll definitely get lots of teasers.
We'll talk about that one because there's some neat, very local history, like across the street local history.
Well, as far as local history goes, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your local history, because I know you're not native to North Carolina, but reside here now. Where are you guys from, and what brought you here?
I'm from Los Angeles, and I was living out there. All was well. Then
all was well, except for the well water.
Yeah, and real estate prices
and the traffic.
Yeah, it just got too expensive. So we started looking around for progressive places that were cheaper to live, and this one just seems so perfect. And we've been so happy with that choice. I mean, the music scene here is incredible, and I love the seasons, and the people are great, and
has
great radio.
Music scene in North Carolina / Raleigh and the Triangle compare to what's happening in LA? Because I imagine they would feel like worlds apart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the type of music and the sounds are not so different, but everything's so intense in LA. I mean, as we were just talking on the way over here, that like to get on a show like this, forget it. I mean, basically there's just a million bands trying to do every single thing and play every single club, and it's just so saturated that it just becomes very difficult to do anything. So there's like a little more room to breathe here, although still tons of great bands, tons of live music.
Yeah, North Carolina is definitely popping at the moment for live music. That's how shows like this are able to thrive. Yeah. And what about yourself?
I was born in New York, moved down here when I was really young, went to Jeffries Grove Elementary School. Went to
so you've been
West
here
Millbrook Junior High,
forever.
Sanderson High School. Graduated from NC State.
I was just about to
Yeah.
say, are you a Wolfpack
Absolutely.
alumni? Hell yeah, go
Yeah,
Pack,
go
these
Pack.
goddamn Wolves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And now I live like a couple blocks over.
really,
Yeah,
like on the
yeah.
Hillsborough side.
On the hill between Hillsborough and Wade. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're right there.
Right there,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm over on Western Boulevard at the moment.
Oh, nice.
But the location I will not disclose.
That's
Secret.
That's right. Right.
So how long was this EP in the works, and when did it come out?
I'd say interestingly, right? I guess the way we've been a band for just about a little over a year, and immediately started going through the. Chris is fairly prolific. He's got a lot of songs, and we basically went through a good number of them, right? I guess like 12 or so, 10, 12, 14, and got to the point of going, okay, we need to lay some of this down and record it, get out, play live, and so forth.
Is he the sole songwriter?
Yes.
Currently, yes. Yeah, I say currently though, because it's not. I wouldn't. That's not like his personality, right?
No.
We definitely can all contribute. It's just he's like I said, so prolific.
Yeah, he has a lot of songs, and they're all really good.
Really, right, that's right. So there's no reason for us to. But I know Laura's come to the table with some rhythms and things, and I've got some ideas.
Yeah, you build off one another.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Organic production, if
There
you
it
will.
is. There it is.
How did you guys meet and start making music together?
So there's a studio. Actually, go ahead. You guys were together first. So
Chris and I were in another band for a couple of years together called Rapture Clause, and we played out a little bit and did some stuff, and then we eventually splintered off into this. So that was how I knew him.
So there's a studio space across the street. It used to be above Curious Goods. That's going to be part of the story I tell later. Where the person that owned that studio, good friends of ours in the neighborhood, he's also a musician and he also records. And we would go, and about once a month he would have jams and just get a lot of the local musicians in the area, and we would go up to the studio space. And years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, Chris happened to come up one of those nights, and that's how I first met him, was up at the studio just in a jam. Couple of years goes by, and he reaches out to me to do this benefit show for Girls Rock NC,
Right.
at Cirque du Vol. This was a few years ago, so you're going to see how all this comes together in just a minute. And so we got together with a couple other friends, put together an impromptu little show, 6, 7 cover songs that we played out at Cirque du Vol. One of the other bands playing there was Cosmic Punk. And that was how that connection was
Very
made.
cool.
And they're going to be in our show February 19th. Let me get that first plug in.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we have to plug that.
There we go. February 19th at the Poorhouse. Come on out. It's going to be Indiobravo, Goddamn Wolves, and Cosmic Punk.
Those are, I definitely have seen Cosmic Punk several times.
Yeah.
They played with a couple of my friends over at School Kids Records once or twice.
Yes.
So I've seen them and they're fantastic. I've never seen Indiobravo, but this is definitely going to be a stacked lineup.
Yep.
Do you know what time the show is?
Yes. The doors open at 8, and then the bands will be at 9, 10, and 11.
Fantastic.
And it'll start with Indiobravo, then Goddamn Wolves, and then Cosmic
And
Punk will
is
be
it
headlining.
18 plus, I'm assuming?
It is, they listed as 21 plus, I think.
21 plus? Yeah, it's
that's
the
right.
Poorhouse. I'm not surprised.
The Poorhouse.
That's where local band, local beers are usually held, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I, a non-21-year-old person, have yet to experience one of these. I know.
I gotta fix that,
promote
then.
them all the time.
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
not
right.
fair. Yeah, we should fix that. Guy got to fix that then. Yeah.
I've gotten into a couple, like Slims also does 21 plus, and I've
Yes.
been guest listed in the past, but
Okay.
by very slim margins, and they mark the living hell out of
Yeah.
my hands.
Yes.
This person cannot drink.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Which is always ironic to me because I don't drink anyways. It's just
Yeah.
not my thing. No beef with it, just not mine.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and so and that's unfortunate because it's limiting. Yeah, and it's limiting the music scene and the audience. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
And Raleigh is growing so rapidly that I find that a lot of the newer bands that I've been checking out and the newer audience members are starting to get younger and younger just because it's becoming larger and more accessible.
absolutely.
And there's pros and cons to that,
Yeah.
of course, which leads me into my next question. Both of you have been here for quite some time, I would say. How has the music scene in Raleigh changed over time, in your opinion?
I would say it's just been improving. And by improving, I don't even mean that I think the quality has always been there. I think we're getting more diverse styles of music. We're getting more bands in the more diverse styles of music. I think it's all been super positive. Not to say that I'm sure there can't be lots of improvements.
Oh, of course.
But yeah. And I think one of the reasons for that, I talk to people quite a bit about this, is I think it's the venues we have here. I think we have a lot of great 20-person venues, like Slim's, like 20, 30 people can kind of fill that club out pretty nicely. And that's important to have. It's not, you can't
the
have...
intimacy of it is what's such a great drawing factor of local music.
Absolutely. And you're not going to get, early first, like bands like us that nobody knows, right? We're not going to be able to book 300, 400, 500 person venue.
Right.
The venue's not going to want to do that because we're not going to get to fill the venue like that. No one knows us yet.
But would you say with Raleigh blowing up that maybe we're losing some of that, like with Deep South closing? And do you think we're going to see some of those small venues go?
Absolutely. That is I would say that is the negative of what I'm seeing right now. Is
there's a bit of a trade-off
satellites.
though, is because we're also there's a strong like house venue scene.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Doesn't offer a lot of legitimacy to local bands just because there's no like institutional foundation there.
Right.
Attaching yourself to like a name brand like Deep South, rest in peace.
Right.
Just kind of gave a band a more official feel.
Yeah.
But house shows are kind of part of the culture, experiencing that intimate setting.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do think I do worry about venues being lost. I know I'm not sure what her last name is. Chidi. She's Avalon, Birds of Avalon.
Oh yeah.
She owns Garland, and they own Kings and Neptunes. I want to say that I've heard that like Kings is like breaks even or loses money. That
breaks my heart because Kings is our home for Double Barrel.
Yeah, and I like don't quote me on that. Like they may say don't worry about that. Right? Yeah, speculation.
Take
right?
it with a grain of salt.
Hearsay, but I can see it, right? Because it's a tough. There's a lot like the equipment, the venue, like doing all that, the real estate.
Also
is
places
not
like
trivial.
the Ritz are consistently booking like corporate musicians, which is fine. In fact, I saw Paramore play there over the summer, and no digs towards Paramore or the Ritz. The Ritz was a great venue for hopscotch, and Paramore's a great band whom I love dearly.
Right.
But I do see the dichotomy between corporate music and local.
Absolutely, sure. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I remember going to Ritz shows before, because are they owned by like Clear Channel or somebody now?
Something like that, I think so. It was like a recent transition, right?
It was a past few years, 3 years maybe. And I know going to shows before then, it's a very different feel now than what it is now. It's clearly, I even feel like the bands, it's a different feel coming from the bands as they're playing. Right?
Yeah.
I think that there's something going on there.
There's I guess the largest downside in my mind to local music is that a lot of people make it not as a career but for a form of catharsis.
Right.
But that's not a lucrative thing, so it's hard to get a solidified and long-lasting scene. Because people are doing this and then they grow up and move on.
Oh, sure.
Or venues are just like, we're not making money from this.
Right. That's the conundrum, right? And it's an unfortunate state of affairs. That's the thing I think that drives me the nuttiest of the whole situation is it is that there's so many great bands that I see that should be able to make a very decent living doing what they are doing. And it drives me crazy to not have them be able to do that, right? All of these great, Hammer No More the Fingers and Beauty World. These are bands that they have other jobs as well, and and they shouldn't have to have that. These.
Well, that was a great tangent that you went on, and I I agree completely with your point. But we have not so much of a special guest, but the final guest on the show today has just arrived, pretty much exactly when we expected you. Hello.
Timed perfectly. Great.
Yes.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself on the air?
Sure. My name is Chris Wielding. I'm in this band called Goddamn Wolves.
Yeah, you are. I'm going to let Chris get situated for a second, and we will go over some things behind the scenes. And at this point, I'm going to play another Goddamn Wolves song. It's the second on their self-titled EP. This one is called Try Me, and the one that you heard earlier was Two Boots. Keep it locked. This is WKNC 88.1, the local beat. And we're back. The Local Beat is back in session with Goddamn Wolves hanging out in the studio. The song you just heard was Try Me off of their self-titled EP. And for those who have not perused their Bandcamp page, which is goddamnwolves.bandcamp.com, the album cover is the $1 bill George Washington logo, but at the bottom where it would say "In God We Trust," it's Goddamn Wolves with like a wolf slash across George Washington's face. How did such imagery come about?
Chris.
I did. Yeah,
You did that?
I didn't do it, but I came up with the GW I had in my head, and I thought of George Washington, and then I thought, and I was just thinking, the Ramones logo with, I was thinking, like government stuff, dollar bill. So, but yeah, that's where that came from.
And before you were here, we discussed that you are their primary singer-songwriter.
Yes.
You mentioned the Ramones. Want to name drop any other artists who have inspired your songwriting?
Sure. The Replacements, Guided by Voices, big Beatles fan.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. I mean,
They put Across the Universe back on Netflix, which is my favorite movie of all time, and I had to immediately watch it again.
have you seen? I just saw today this trailer for this new movie coming out, like where there's a world where only one guy, like nobody remembers the Beatles.
I have not.
Yeah,
What?
It looks
We're
great.
kind
It's
of
by the
already
guy
in that world, though, aren't
Right.
we? Remember when Paul McCartney was on that song with Kanye West, and they had all these tweets and things of kids like, "I kind of like this Paul McCartney."
Yeah.
Who is
I
this
do
guy?
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just saw it. It looks great. It's called Yesterday. So I mean, I don't know why I'm shilling for it. I just thought it was a great idea.
I'll definitely have to
so
look
this
into
one
that.
guy knows all the Beatles songs, but nobody else does. So he presents them, and they're like, "Oh, that's a great song," and he's like, yeah.
Like they're his own, or he's just
Eventually,
yeah.
he says,
Chris,
that
are
they're
you
his own.
in this movie? Because this feels like this is a
have
movie about
supporting-
you.
I have a supporting role.
Okay,
in it.
there
A
you go.
supporting
All
role?
right.
Are you trying to rip the Beatles then?
Yeah.
Oh, I could talk about them forever, but we are here to talk about Goddamn
okay.
Wolves
I can-
instead.
Anytime, I'm up for an hour-long discussion about the Beatles.
I'll get back to you on
Okay.
that. That would definitely be fun.
Yeah.
We could do local Beatles. Ooh, do we have another guest?
Another guest.
Hello, other guest.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hi.
This is Roberto. It's nice to meet you guys.
Hi. Are you also in Goddamn Wolves?
I am in the Blessed Little Puppies. No, I don't know. I'm in Indiobravo.
Very cool. Thank you for being here. You're welcome to pull up a chair and hang out. There should be one floating around. While you're doing that, we're going to continue making small talk and discussion. So, Chris,
Yes.
how does your songwriting process work?
I just sit around
Come up
for
with something good.
Okay, yeah, I'll work on it. I sit around with the guitar and just work until something comes out that I can hold on to. It's
Have you been writing music for a while now?
yeah for decades now.
Decades.
So
And how do you feel that your songwriting process or interest has changed over time?
well, a lot of times it's really based on what I'm listening to. So right now I'm listening to a lot of Guided by Voices. So a lot of the songs to me have a Guided by Voices feel. They used to have a heavy Replacements feel. There's always some Beatles stuff floating around in the background.
I
It's
mentioned
like the template.
to Laura and Drew before you arrived. Have you ever heard of a band called Together Pangea?
No.
I definitely name dropped that earlier because you sound a lot like them, and they are one of my favorites.
Well, I will check them out for
You
sure.
most definitely
Yeah.
should. On an air break, I'll write down some song titles for you, but they are rockers for real. And
cool.
behind the scenes, Drew and I had been discussing our love for KEXP, and they did a great KEXP session.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, for me, one of my resources for determining a band's validity, because you can sound good in the recording studio, but what do you sound like live? I
True.
watch a lot of Audio Tree KEXP sessions and things like that just to check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
KHP
It's
sessions
tough
are
though.
great.
Aren't they? They've all got headphones on and stuff too. So it's weird. It's
Right,
this
right.
combination of being in a recording studio and playing live.
Yeah.
Which I imagine is pretty tough to pull off.
It probably is pretty tough, but I know that they do all of the mixing beforehand, and they do a little bit of practice off air.
Oh, okay.
So it is live streamed, but they they try to make it as authentic sounding as possible.
I watched that Bully session probably like every week. Yeah, I love them.
Well, it is a great way to check out new bands because, like, whenever Chris will recommend a band to me, he'll be like, don't watch the music video, because a lot of times, music video, there's a lot of imagery in there that can interfere with you getting your own take on the song. But if you watch a KXEP session, you just get the band live, basically, and you get a sense of what they look like, who they are.
There's a couple questions about like their music making process and things. They're a big inspiration for running these local beat sessions. I try to make them as interesting, especially when we do live sessions.
You are succeeding.
Why, thank you very much. Yes, this local beat, it's all about flattering me.
Sure.
I'm going to swing the mic over to our lovely guest from Indiobravo real quick. Hello.
Oh,
that
okay.
mic.
My mic.
That's our mic.
What did you say your name was again, sir?
My name is Roberto.
Roberto, what's up? What do you do in Indiobravo?
I play guitar and try to get people to practice.
Try to get them to practice? What's that like? How do y'all make music?
It's really hard. We just get in my basement and make some noise. And I'm not like a singer-songwriter type person, not a singer-songwriter type person where I come up with the whole song and bring it to the whole band. So more of all of us kind of get together and swipe it. Sorry.
All right, this is enough Indiobravo talk. Be gone.
Sorry.
That was his bandmates going, are we practicing tonight?
Are we practicing in your basement?
You freaked me out because you talking about the radio station today.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, we're doing that right before the show. And I thought that was next week.
Yes.
And I just about had a heart attack this afternoon.
For those who are listening to the local beat, we will not be airing next week as there will be a baseball game taking over WKNC's airwaves. However, if you're looking for local music...
Baseball game. Goddamn Wolves and Indiobravo are going to be suiting up for that game.
Don't listen to that tomfoolery. If you're not listening to the local beat, though, you can definitely check out the Poorhouse, where Indiobravo, Goddamn Wolves, and Cosmic Punk will be playing a local band, local beer night.
Yeah.
Come on out.
Although you won't be tuning in and hearing DJ Beowulf on air, which I will sorely
we'll
miss.
Be channeling you.
Yes,
there you go.
absolutely.
I may have to swing through the Poorhouse, or at least try to.
We'll put you on the list of this special wristband.
That's
please do. They can do big old black X's on my fists.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk a little bit about cool band stories. I believe that each of you probably have a very interesting musical history. What was one thing in your lifetime of playing music that's just stuck out and been something to remember? You can go down the line.
Okay, I'll start. Not to be like, the name dropper, but the probably funniest thing that's happened to me while playing was when I was much younger. I was really young, still living at home. I tried out for Hole, and I went and auditioned, Courtney Love and everything. And the whole thing was crazy. Like, it was exactly what you'd expect if you were having interactions with Courtney. But after the initial audition, which she had to leave, she had to rush home because they received a phone call from Kurt and he was in tears. So she had to rush out and the audition was cut short. So then I was just kind of on the hook for the next audition. And at that time, I was working at Crown Books, this bookstore. And this one night I'm there, on the cash register, and I get this phone call, and she's like, "Yeah, Courtney, it's Courtney here, Laura. Your dad gave me this number." I'm just like, God. Okay, cool, So he just starts chatting to me about stuff. And then from then on, occasionally I'd get this call there at the bookstore and, just have a little monologue in one ear and ring up customers in the other ear.
This is crazy.
I didn't end up getting it. Somebody else got it. But it was definitely fun and worth doing.
Were you in contact with Courtney Love for a while?
Yeah, this went on for like a year and a half.
Geez.
Because during that time, they fired their drummer and found Patty Schemmel. They got married. She got pregnant. And, so all this stuff was kind of on hold. But, of course, at the time, like I said, I was really young. So I've never been a drug user. So I didn't catch on to what was going on here.
Wrong.
Like, I'd call her at 3 p.m. or something to check on something and be like, "Hello," And I just kind of didn't. I don't know. It all seemed kind of weird, but I had no idea. And then that Vanity Fair, that infamous Vanity Fair article comes out, and it's like, oh, that's what was going on, So might be just as well. Didn't work out, but
it's interesting because you would think that story would be like a peek into Courtney Love's real life. No,
Yeah,
just getting outside information. That's pretty cool, though.
But, I guess I hear a lot of stuff about how they turn her guitar all the way down now because she's not good on guitar anymore. But she was great at that audition. She was amazing on guitar and great singer. I mean, I still think she's like one of the best rock voices I've ever heard. So,
what was I going to say about that? How did you get invited to this audition?
Oh, well, at that time I had been playing around LA and I, being a teenager, I started thinking, hey, I'm just as good as any bass player here in LA. Why do I have to spend all this time trying to get a band together? I'm just going to hop into a band that's already signed. So, I knew that Hole was looking for somebody. So I had mentioned to my friend, I'm going to find their manager's number and I'm going to call them. And then she's like, Laura, there's an ad in the Recycler, So that was our local paper, a Craigslist, but before we had Craigslist. And I'm like, oh, well, that simplifies
that's
things.
Convenient. Yeah.
So I just called the ad. And it was funny back then, stuff like that would happen. I remember Mazzy Star, they had I'm totally dating myself, but they had an ad in the Recycler, you'd just call and then you might have heard of that legendary LA club Jabberjaw.
Yeah.
That was where I had the audition. It had been closed
sick.
by the fire marshal at that time. So Hole was practicing in there. And the whole thing was just, in retrospect, really just cool and kind of funny experience.
Were you heavily invested in grunge at that point?
No.
Did Kurt Cobain's death torment you or anything?
No, not at all. I guess I'd go more.
Heartless.
No big loss.
My
Elliott Smith was
goodness.
better. No, just
another dude.
No, I really liked a lot of female-fronted bands like PJ Harvey, The Breeders, all the Riot Girl stuff, Slater-Kinney, Bikini Kill. Of course I like Nirvana. Everybody did.
Right.
But no.
It smells like Teen Spirit.
But another kind of funny part of that story was the second audition, I got this phone call and she was like, okay, we accidentally fired our drummer. So for your next audition, Kurt will play drums. And I was kind of like, holy, but then when I went to the second audition, Kurt and Courtney never showed up.
Nice.
So it was just me and Eric, and we just sat in his room and kind of did the audition, sort of. So
just kind of jammed out.
Yeah, we just kind of jammed out, and he's a very awkward dude, so it was kind of weird. But anyway,
that is pretty cool, though. That's I don't think I've ever heard something as comparably cool in my years of interviewing. You
got to get a whole ton of years like me, right? Then you'll hear something like this.
You should have gone last, because now I don't think any of the guys
cool. I got nothing.
Actually, I auditioned after and I got the gig.
Yep.
Oh my god!
They did a lot with makeup and wigs.
They kicked me out for other reasons.
I can't imagine we have an ex-member of Hole in the studio right now. Wow!
I was the drummer that was accidentally not hired.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I thought so.
You guys are also involved with LA grunge, like 90s LA grunge.
Yep.
It's taking me back to before I was born. Oh,
Yeah.
way back when.
Ouch.
Now I'm dating myself. I think I'm going to go transition over and play one more Goddamn Wolves song. We're going to finish through this EP and then play a little bit of Indiobravo and Cosmic Punk. So if you're tuned in, stay tuned in. And if you know people who aren't, get them to tune in. Keep it locked. WKNC 88.1. This is the local beat, and you are listening to Goddamn Wolves. Very abrupt ending to that one, huh?
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. I enjoyed that song.
On the radio.
Well, it did, and you're here, and this is Goddamn Wolves on the local beat with myself, DJ Beowvlf. It is a wolf-themed night, except for Indiobravo, who's just hanging out, I guess. Oh!
There you go.
So, Drew, behind the scenes, you mentioned that this this song has a little bit of a story attached to it?
Yes. So that fourth song on the EP was not recorded at Deep Sound in Durham. It was recorded in a studio space by Sven Johnson, which is a space that we had right here across the street, across Hillsborough Street, and where we, Chris and I first met, got together, lots of bands, local bands, had other bands practice there quite a bit. And Sven has been into recording for a while. He's also a visual artist. That's how he makes a living. But he has been into recording for a long time, and he recorded that track and mixed it for us. And I'm so glad we have that, because that whole block is going to be torn down and made into housing or something.
So you guys can't use that as a practice studio anymore,
no,
huh?
And it's been killing us. So we lost it. In fact, we had to move out beginning of February. So
Jeez,
yeah,
were you just leaving all of your stuff there?
Yeah, it was so awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool of him to let bands play there, and just it was a really cool part of the local music scene. The jams that he would put on, and he's a very cool guy.
Yep. So shout out to Sven, and we really appreciated. Obviously love the recording too, so really love having that mix and that recording. And
of the DIY establishments that are still standing, do you guys have any personal favorites or ones that you've worked with in the past that you just really enjoyed?
Like venues,
producers, anyone who contributes to the music scene, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned, Deep Sound in Durham, definitely love them. I love with Berkeley. We played there. That was probably our first show. Is that right?
No, that was our second show.
First show. Yeah.
When was your first show?
Boy, that was April. Was it April?
I think it was March or April.
Of this year?
Last year.
A year ago.
Last year. Okay.
18. Yeah.
Oh, I'm still. Yeah. I'm thinking that it's not 2019 yet.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was like, we had not been a band for long. We had just joined. We had just hooked up like that January. So so
a 3-month turnaround time is pretty fast.
It was exciting, yeah.
It was quick. It was
the
really
cool
quick.
thing about Drew being in Love Udder is that was how we got the show. We got invited to open, so he had to do double drum duty that night. We
That's
must
true.
have been
exhausted.
It is a little tiring. Yes.
I went to a show at Local 506 the other day. I say the other day as if it was more than like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And this drummer was like backlining the kit off of some other band, and in sound check kicked too hard and broke the drum, the kick drum, like straight through. Yeah, and it wasn't even his drum, and I was like, oh no. But you guys go hard. Drummers are otherworldly.
Yeah. Well, some of them.
I'm too clumsy to even imagine doing any sort of polyrhythm with my hands and or feet.
Same here.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah,
you
me
guys
too.
ever see those shows where Slater Kinney would tour with Quasi? Janet Weiss played drums for both bands, and then come out and man the merch table. Geez, really superhuman.
I saw Slater Kinney at the Ritz. Like,
Yeah, so did
last
I.
year.
So did I, yeah.
I saw them. She didn't do it there though.
No,
She went
Quasi
to-
wasn't opening.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great show.
I remember seeing like a video on Twitter or something of that band that's kind of become like an internet joke at this point, like Smash Mouth. And they had like a dueling drum kit thing going on. They had 2 drummers playing, and on the bass head it said Smash and Mouth.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And that clever, right? Very kind of low hanging fruit.
Yeah, why didn't we think of that?
You could do like goddamn or like
Wolves.
goddamn
Wolves.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Indio, Bravo, Cosmic, Punk.
So many
a theme.
possibilities.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
How did you guys organize the show playing that's coming up on the 19th at the Poorhouse?
Thank you. That's right. The 19th, Tuesday. Be there next week.
You better be there,
so
Bert.
that show came about.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah. You have to be
I'm
there.
going to be there.
That show came about. Let's see, Groove in the Garden. Bert introduced me to Adam, who does the booking at Poorhouse.
We like Adam.
Very much so. And have been wanting to play the Poorhouse for forever in either band. I've not gotten to play there yet and wanted to do that. And knowing, during Groove in the Garden, obviously super busy, he was obviously manning that whole show, which is a great event. Would love to play that event sometime as well. But not long after that event, sent him an email. He got back to us, and after that, I started putting the show together. And so I immediately contact Berto, because I've been wanting to do a show with Indiobravo for a long time as well. And then we realized we wanted to get somebody we thought we'd fit well together for the same kind of sound and go like a little bit, I guess, outside of, somebody from Carborough, Chapel Hill.
Right,
and
right.
Cosmic Punk came to mind when we, as I said, that was that band we played with way back when at Cirque du Vol for the Girls Rock NC benefit, and it kind of just made sense. And so Chris reached out to Elena, and it all came together. So yeah.
On the subject of booking bands and booking shows, this is kind of a grab bag question that I tend to ask artists. If your band was to open like a 3-band bill, who would the other 2 be, past or present? You can choose anyone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that's something to think about. You don't even have to go local for these.
Maroon 5.
For real? Like the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the Super Bowl. And Big Boy.
Unpopular opinion?
There's probably an open slot there that didn't get filled.
Oh my god. I know this local band called Doll Hands, and they opened for if you remember that actor from Drake and Josh, Drake Bell.
Name's
I am
familiar.
ashamed to say, well, no, I have daughters, so
Exactly, I was
I
going to say, you guys have
know who
kids,
you're
so you may
talking
know.
about.
Yeah, he's not the greatest person, but it was just, that was a weird crossover to see a
Wow.
local band open for Drake Bell.
Whoa.
Apparently, if you guys, this may be too modern pop culture, us millennials, you know. There was that really annoying song that was on the radio for a while, Gucci Gang or something. He did an acoustic cover of it. Yeah.
Bizarre.
So that whole set was a fever dream and not real. But Goddamn Wolves at Indiobravo, who would you guys play with?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's too hard if you do like all time. So I'll just do it with like more current bands that I'm really into. I love the band A Giant Dog on Merge Records, and I haven't seen them live
Shout
yet.
out Merge.
Yeah, so that would be amazing.
And Superchunk.
Yeah, so, Superchunk. That's one of the things I love about living in Raleigh. I get this, like, thrill every time I'm in a club and I see a member of Superchunk walk in, you know?
Yes!
Like, there's Worcester, you know? Like, it's just awesome.
So many of my WKNC coworkers have interned at Merge and just, like, interact with, like, Superchunk members, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You guys, like, hang out?
It's so cool. And then for the other band, I just started getting in, even though I know they're not new, but I just got into Cherry Glazer, so I'll go with those two.
I love Cherry Glazer. Did you hear their new album?
I just got it. It's
Stuffed and Ready.
Awesome. Yeah, it is
my
great.
God. I've been not friends with. I've been fans of Cherry Glazer since their 2014 album Haxel Princess.
That has my favorite song on it, White's Not My Color This Evening.
Really? That's a good one. I definitely think that Stuffed and Ready took the cake for me in terms of like all three of their albums, which one I liked the most. But Apocalyptic was the one that like got me into Cherry Glazer. I have a big old fat crush on Clementine Creevy, so I love that band so much.
You play them a lot. Maybe not you specifically.
No,
the station.
It's my
probably
fault.
you as well. Yeah, there you go.
It
I was
is
gonna
me.
say.
It quite literally is me. Our daytime music director texted me and he's like, "We just got the Cherry Glazer album. Would you like the honor of putting it into Audio Vault, which is the program that we use to play music when we don't have a DJ in session."
Right.
And so we have this function called Must Plays. Like when an album is really stellar, we play their album like more than the rest.
That's the payola one.
Yeah.
The big money.
A higher weighted percentage. Yeah, I get it.
I don't think we actually make more money off of that. I think it's just if we really like it. Yeah. But we're capped at like, usually you're supposed to put like 4, maximum 5 songs on there. And I was like, 6? Is that what I heard?
Nice.
So I was like, tip tap on my computer, putting them all in there. I was like, this band rocks.
Yeah.
When Laura had sent out, she's like, "Do you know this band Cherry Glazer?" I was like, "I know I've heard them because I've heard them on KNC." And so I go and search a playlist, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard this a bunch." And lists like played them at 12:07, played them at 12:52, played them at 1:09. Like,
I'm really out here doing the Lord's work, putting Cherry Glazer on.
That's it.
But I see they're not coming on the tour. They're not coming here.
I was so mad about that. They're playing Washington D.C. tonight with another band that has that WKNC is big supporters of. I can't say the band's full name on air because it has an expletive, so it's mannequin vagina, but the kitty cat word for it.
Okay.
Which I'm not allowed to say, but they are a great punk band from Philadelphia, and Cherry Glazer is opening for them tonight.
Wow.
Well, I know what that word is.
Yeah.
I just checked the list.
Can you guess it? Don't say it. I'll mute you. Don't try me. There's not enough finger guns in this world to get my way out of this situation. No, but I love that band so much. So you put down Cherry Glazer and what was
A Giant Dog.
A Giant Dog. Anybody else want to talk about bands they like?
I would say Goddamn Wolves.
Wow.
And Cosmic Punk.
Sorry.
Oh, it's happening. A dream come true.
The other band I thought when you said expletive deleted, because one that I like is
I know what you're gonna say.
F*** CK UP. So that's one that I like.
Isn't it EDUP?
Yes. Thank you for correcting my spelling. You're absolutely right.
I have one of their posters hanging up in my room.
Yes.
They sent us their album Dose Your Dreams, and it has this huge paper fold out where on one side it has the band's name, a big old like melted acid wash smiley face.
That's his sweat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They really put their blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
Into this album, but on the other side it has like a bunch of quotes from the Communist Manifesto and just some like anti-capitalist things, and it's hanging in my room just
There you go.
just to promote that kind of stuff, and I love it.
I love them too. So I got to see them at King's, and it was quite a show. That's somebody you don't want to pass along body surfing either.
Oh my God.
It was a great show.
So even though they will not be playing on the bill, Goddamn Wolves, Cosmic Punk, and Indiobravo is definitely going to be a show for the ages, if I do say so myself.
Couldn't agree more.
A show for a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's it, for a Tuesday in February. Late February, sure.
Have you guys had any shows in the past where you were just like, this is killer, or one that left an impression on you?
Well, I love Slim's. I would love to go back there anytime. I think that's just such a great bar.
Agreed. Yeah, and that that was a really fairly crowded night. We had that place, not that it's not a big place, but it was still we had a good crowd there, and it was a
Have you
good
guys played
energetic crowd.
the Pinhook?
No,
I have
but
not
they
played the
have
Pinhook.
Berto has.
Have you been there?
Yeah,
many times.
I played with an old band called the Mercators out of Durham, so I used to play guitar there, and it was great. It's a fabulous place. It's in Durham, so it's kind of a. There's some shows that I don't particularly like to play at because I like to do certain things when I go to the show,
Right.
and it makes it hard to come back from the show in one piece.
Interesting.
I think you can say those words, but all right, go ahead.
Let's
not.
refrain
Have
from
a couple
that.
beers.
Oh, okay.
That's
there
what
you
I'm
go.
talking about.
Yeah. That's
Enjoy
not-
those adult beverages.
Yes.
Daddy's gonna have himself a drink.
But it's really nice, and it's great. And Durham's got some great places, so Motorco and Pinhook, and those are the ones that come top of my head for right now. There's a
Have you
couple
guys
of others.
played exclusively in Raleigh?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so far.
So far, yeah.
Are you looking in the future to play anywhere else in the
Yeah, I
state or
really
in
like
the
the
country?
Cave.
Yeah, I'd like to. Well,
We played there with
Love
our
Letter.
old band. That was Love
Letter
Letters
played
played
at the
there. That's a
Cave, yeah.
great
The
venue.
Cave's not too far away though.
No, not far.
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
What was the old band, Laura?
Rapture Clause.
Rapture Clause. Yeah, so the Cave. So we should go do the Cave.
All right.
Good. Make it
You know,
happen.
Make that happen. You
You
heard
can
it.
We
come
did.
back on and promote that show.
Let's do
Bring
it.
Cosmic
That's it.
Punk next time.
That's it.
Speaking of, I believe it's roughly about time to play some Indiobravo.
Well, that's your decision.
We're definitely going to play some of your music. It was more so, let's name drop a song. You want to introduce one?
What are we doing?
I think you should. I think you should play. I can't. Play Two Rain. Yeah, play Two Rain.
All right, WKNC 88.1. This is the local beat with Cosmic Punk, Goddamn Wolves, and Indiobravo. Cosmic Punk not represented, but we are going to shout them out quite a bit. This next song is To Rain by Indiobravo. Keep it locked, WKNC 88.1.
Muttering no shame.
That song you just heard was To Rain by Indiobravo. We have a representative from Indiobravo in studio, so I'm about to ask some questions about it. You ready? We're going to go rapid fire.
Jeez Louise. Okay, go ahead. Shoot.
When did this album come out?
I don't know.
I've got Bandcamp up next to me. It looks like
I'll tell you what. I'll take the question.
April 28th, 2018. April 28th, 2018 is the answer.
Yes.
You did not win the $1 million.
No,
you are
lost.
not smarter than a fifth grader. And it is no deal.
But I know where it was recorded.
Where? Tell me about that.
It was recorded at Pershing Hill Sound, run by my main man, Greg Elkins, who I absolutely adore for recording. So,
how did you get involved with that studio, and why is it your favorite?
Well, because actually Greg played in a band called Vanilla Trainwreck back in the 80s. And so we did a lot of I played in a band called Insurgents back then too, and a bunch of punk stuff. And so we played at the brewery, we played all over the place, and we shared a lot of shows, and that's how I got to know him.
Are you still involved with North Carolina punk?
Yeah, I'm still involved in that band. We have a full-length LP coming out in April.
Wow.
All new material. It's like the first time in about 20 years.
Well, if you'd like to come on and promote it, I would definitely love to bring in some old rockers.
It's a little bit difficult now because two of us are here in North Carolina, and the bass player who owns Crooked Beat Records, who used to be down here, is up in D.C.
I shouldn't say old rockers. I should say seasoned musicians.
Oh no, it's accurate.
Old is pretty much
yeah. Seasoned and old.
Important thing is we're still doing it. So.
Like a good home skillet. You got to season it. It gets better with age.
That's right.
So anyway, so that's how I met Greg.
What other bands other than Indiobravo were you involved in?
I'm in a band called Milagro Saints, and that's an Americana band that plays all over the place.
We do have an Americana section at WKNC. Feel free to send us your stuff.
We have some stuff in that bin. And so last year that band got to go to Woody Guthrie Festival, so we drive out to Oklahoma and play with a bunch of people that I should really be impressed with if I listen to that whole genre, which I don't really know very well. I kind of like the punk side of it, but I get to play a little mandolin on that, and that's kind of fun.
Very
so,
cool. And
then I played in a band called the Redstones that was precursor to this band. Played around here, and the Mercators out in Durham. So I just like to keep busy.
Definitely.
And play music.
You can't let your fingers get stale when you're a musician.
No.
I remember when I was back in high school, I got acrylic nails for prom, and I swear I took them off after like a month because I was trying to get my money's worth, and I could no longer play bar chords. I was like, that's it. I haven't practiced in like a month because I had nails. It was horrible.
Same here.
Yeah. Oh my God! Did you get the pointed tip, the coffin shape? Are they gel or liquid or?
It was so long ago.
It was so long ago.
Thank God there are no pictures.
I don't remember, but
I mean, if only you were a classical guitarist, then you could just use that for picks.
Yeah.
Don't some classical guitarists grow out their fingernails for that purpose?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you don't know they play guitar, you probably think
they're right.
Exactly. It's kind of gross.
Okay. They say, well, I'm a classical guitar player.
Can you do classical guitar stuff, Chris?
No. I actually should be a much better guitar player than I am.
Me too,
considering
man.
how long I've been banging around on it. But I had a great classical guitar teacher in high school.
As did I.
I had one of those.
It's incredible, when people are good.
Yeah.
Not so incredible that I devoted time to practice, but
I share that same sentiment for respect towards classical guitarists. I played in orchestral symphonies for my entire public school career, and then I got to college and I was like, yeet, not doing that anymore. But I've seen some of the most insanely talented people through doing that.
Very cool.
In fact, when you were mentioning, it was you said Peter and the Wolves.
Yeah, Peter Lamb and the Wolves.
Yeah. It was making me think of that that symphonic children's tale, Peter and the Wolf.
Yeah,
which is probably one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any music or albums that have just stuck out? Man, I cannot talk. I'm going to have to edit this in post-script podcasting. I can't talk. Any albums that have been iconic or stuck out to you over the ages that have been formative in your musical careers?
Oh, my God.
It's hard to limit that.
Yeah.
I mean, I never said you had to limit it.
True.
For me, it would be "Let It Be" by the Replacements and "Underwater Moonlight" by the Soft Boys, and then the entire Beatles catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go with that entire Replacements catalog.
Oh, I can drop some of the later.
Can you?
Yeah, but
I like them. I like all of them.
now I feel bad saying it.
I know.
No, you're
hope
good.
they're
Don't
not
worry about it.
That's okay.
The Replacements
They're on the
are
phone.
big listeners of WKNC.
They're on the phone.
The hotline's about to ring.
Quiet, Tommy. The local beat is on.
I know.
I mean, we do get lots of different genres and rockers coming through. So if only the Replacements were local, that would be very cool.
I like. I've played this on Little Raleigh Radio. Cursive. There's an album, "The Ugly Organ" by Cursive. I think that's a brilliant album. I guess maybe older back. I love the Cars.
So my dad also loves the Cars.
Yeah.
Candio is a great
Oh,
album.
that hurts.
We all love the Cars. They were very important to us.
Oh, Daddy likes them.
Oh my! No, my dad. I got a lot of my music taste from my father.
See?
Yeah. Big ups to Dennis. He's a good man. I hope he listens to this later and gets mad
Dennis.
at me for calling him by his first name.
Dennis Beowvlf?
Dennis Beowvlf. Yes, indeed. That's him.
Very good.
If only that was my last name. My real last name isn't nearly that cool. Anybody else want to name drop an album?
Slater Kinney, The Woods.
You've been talking about Slater Kinney a lot.
That's big for me.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The Woods was so cool because it was like, how does every album get better? You know, it's like, this is probably the best one yet. And then they took like a 10-year break and came back with like even better album. You know, it's just,
You can't rush perfection.
no, that's right. So good. Bert.
His
I
eyes
already
widen in
answered this
fear.
question.
Oh, he did. He said the entire Replacements catalog. And
But you're right. It's not really the entire Replacements catalog.
Oh,
This-
Give us
Discography.
something new.
That's not Replacements?
It's not their place.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I already said the F up
Oh, yeah,
one,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I really am crazy about. It's
new
the
one?
no, it's the one with the I'm so bad with names.
Yeah.
It's the one
I
with
can
the
see the album
Juliet.
cover in my head.
It's
I'll pull it up.
it's shoot. It's like Romeo and Juliet or something.
Let's see. Freaked Up.
Yeah, freaked up. Anyway,
Freaked Out.
that whole album, end to end, every single song is just. I guess it's about 4 or 5 years old now.
I'd like to make a personal anti-shout out to Apple Music for sucking. I hate this app so much.
Yes, I agree.
And
It doesn't want
I
to
don't
load,
use it.
but there's a lot of
Freaked
other
out.
stuff, especially like in the 80s and 90s when I started playing, you know, stuff from Guadalcanal Diary or gosh, they're just
Yeah.
you know. And the thing is, in this area, and you were in LA, but here we had some really great shows. We had Dash Rip Rock. We had all these great bands come through.
You
and
say
they,
Das Drip?
Dash Rip Rock.
Oh, I was
it's a
going to say
trio.
Das
Das
Drip
Drip.
is a great band.
Dash
Yeah.
Rip- now I can't say it. Now that you said that.
Dash Rip Rock.
But we
I
had a
remember
lot
them.
of free shows. So like Duke had all his money, and they would put out shows on the Quad, and it would be all these great bands, and they were free. And if you can just get the Duke, and you can hang out, you know, with all the frat boys and watch watch some killer shows. Great bands.
As far as the development of music and the music culture has gone so far, one question that I have posed to my father in the past and would like to bring up to you guys is we see this kind of idolization of classic rockers, as in like people who don't even listen to Nirvana will wear that name on their T-shirt, or they'll get the Pink Floyd. Yeah, I almost said Over the
I
Garden
call it
Wall.
the Walmartization of, you know,
Absolutely.
it's the T-shirt on the rack that costs $6.99.
Absolutely. Do you, regardless of whether or not that's actually putting those artists on a pedestal, can you think of any artists that are modern or mainstream that will be put in that Hall of Fame, like the collective conscious memory of society in a similar way? Or do you see that as being an exclusive phenomenon?
I would say that I'm not sure that, and this is not a dig at all, but I don't know that that music that's popular and coming out now has the longevity.
I understand that.
I'm not saying that there aren't bands that produce music that can have that longevity. I just don't think that. I think that the commercialization of music,
it's a reflection of the market.
It's a reflection of the market,
great
and
bands
that's
out
different.
there. I get into arguments with people all the time. They're like, "Well, there's just no good music."
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
totally
I'm like,
disagree.
this is like.
There's great music.
You're not listening.
You're not digging hard enough.
You're not looking.
You have to dig a little.
You
Right? You
know?
have to dig. Right?
Not even a lot, just a little.
Right. You just have to dig. You know, and I always say, listen to KNC. Seriously, I tell you, you all know this. I say it all the time. College radio, KEXP. Just listen. There's a crap ton of great music coming out, and it's just not what's popular. So I think that might change. That might make it so that like there aren't the bands that are going to be known well enough to experience that kind of thing phenomenon. I don't know. Could be wrong.
I think it's because the machine's not pushing out their 1, 2, 3 bands that they like. Is what it is. You know? So there's no radio station that's constantly. Except for you pushing. What was the band?
Cherry Glazers.
Cherry Glazer, baby. That'll be the band, right?
That'll be the band.
I'm going to buy my
I want
shirt
a T-shirt
now.
with that.
I'm going to buy my shirt right now.
Yeah. God. They're not coming anywhere close to North Carolina.
Oh, that's frustrating.
It really, really hurts my heart.
Yeah.
I have yet to see them live, but one day, maybe soon, probably not. But I am going to see Indiobravo live, and for that reason, I want to play another song.
Chris?
Play Come and Get It.
February 19th.
I can do it. Come and get it. Indiobravo, WKNC 88.1. This is the local beat. Keep it locked, rockers. And we're back, probably for the last interview segment before the local beat signs off. If you've been tuning in this whole time, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I hope you enjoyed it. We have had Cosmic Punk not here, but Indiobravo and Goddamn Wolves instead. They're all playing a lineup soon. You want to name drop those last few facts? Take a shot every time I've said name drop in this interview.
I have been doing shots, and I'm going to need a ride home, guys.
Chris is slurring his words.
February 19th, Tuesday. Come on out. Poorhouse.
Doors at 8, right? Show
Doors
at 9?
at 8.
9,
Show
10,
at 9,
11?
10, 11. That's
Got it. What can we expect? Is it going to be exclusively music off of y'all's EP or stuff that we can hear on the LP soon?
It'll be all of that. Yes.
It'll be mayhem.
It'll be mayhem.
Dogs and cats.
You'll probably hear those two songs you just heard from Indiobravo, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to play everything we know.
Play everything you know.
Everything.
That's it. As is Goddamn Wolves. We'll be playing everything we know. So you got the 4 songs on the EP plus 6 or so more. So, yeah.
Hell yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I wish Cosmic Punk was here to tell us a little bit about their stuff too, but from seeing
them out.
Seeing them play a couple times, they are phenomenal. And
they're great.
They're going to put on a good show. They're the headliners, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so who's first?
Me? I mean, Indiobravo.
Yes.
Indiobravo, Goddamn Wolves, Cosmic Punk.
You got it.
Super sick lineup. I hope everyone out there is taking notes, making sure they're going to get there. It is 21 plus, so duly noted.
Mm-hmm.
At the Poorhouse, 8 p.m. doors.
You got it.
Yes. Thank you guys for being here today. We're going to wrap up the segment by just playing some more I can't talk today. This is it. I give up. I've talked too much.
No, you can do it. Hang in there.
I just want to say thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Very much.
This is quite literally my favorite thing to do all the time. So thank you.
We really appreciate that you do it.
Enabling my habit. Oh, thank you. We're going to be playing a little bit more Indiobravo, and I'll close out with some Cosmic Punk. So this is WKNC 88.1 with the local beat. Thank you for listening, and come back not next week, but the week after that. This has been DJ Beowvlf in studio with Goddamn Wolves, a representative from Indiopunk and keeping Cosmic Punk. Indiobravo and keeping Cosmic Punk in our hearts. Indiopunk and Cosmic Bravo.
Yeah,
Okay. WKNC 88.1. DJ Beowvlf out.